This just in. Breaking news. Another urgent alert. Urgent alert. I'm getting reportings that another female body was just found dead. The 7th woman this week and the 30th woman this month. Ladies, women, please beware. There is a serial killer on the loose. In ancient India, a forgotten lover is blamed. In the Islamic Golden Age, women are killed nightly. Shakuntala, Denuizad, Scheherazade. These women are not just victims of their story. They are women who challenged a world that wanted them to stay silent or fit into a certain mold. From ancient Greece to modern-day societies, men have ruled the world. I believe that the true message of these stories was to inspire women to unite and fight against the patriarchal ideals of purity and anything else that is harmful in a way. In Kalidasa's Shakuntala lives in peace and knows only peace until a king has entered her life. Kalidasa uses the beautiful imagery of a white lotus flower. I know that this is pink. The white lotus flower is supposed to represent delicacy, femininity, innocence, natural beauty, and most of all, something that is untouched in nature. The king mentions that her youth is a blossom and that her lips are fresh rosebuds. The lotus's imagery of purity is also the perfect representation of how he later almost plucks her, uses her, gets her pregnant, takes her delicacy and purity, and discards of her, just like a flower. This imagery not only represents her beauty that the king sees and seems to value her for immediately without even getting to know her, but also that he sees her as untouched in nature instead of seeing her as an individual, a woman with flaws and impurities. And when the king finally remembers her and how he first saw her as a delicate white flower, only then is she deserving of his love again. But Shakuntala does not fall apart and wither. She endures. Now let's talk 1001 Nights. The king is betrayed once by a woman he loves, and since then marries a new virgin every day, only to once again pluck her flower and discard of her afterwards, but this time with violence. Why is this? Because one woman cheated. He feels that he has the power and the authority to take the delicate lives and flowers of multiple women and discard them. Now, every single woman he encounters must die. And I quote, "He then swore to marry for one night and kill the woman the next morning in order to save himself from wickedness and the cunning of women." The wickedness of women. He feels it is his power to judge women based off of their now impurities that he took and save himself from the wickedness. Now, while most would argue that the ultimate act of wickedness is murder, the king believes it is impurity. This is once again tied to men feeling as though they have the right and the authority to take the lives of women, unsuspecting women. The repeated use of swords in this story is a direct phallic symbol for the male authority, in this case the king, and is used for the repeated use of masculinity and the need for physical dominance over women. It seems as though the swords are ultimately deciding the fate of these women, although in reality it's the male authority, in this case the king, feeling as though he has control, physical control, dominance over the women to do as he pleases and discard the flowers. Enter our heroine, Scheherazade. She volunteers to marry the king after forming a plan with her sister. These women had the strength to use their femininity to challenge a world that tried to silence them. They used their minds and their sisterhood to unite and form a plan against the king, in which their brilliant, captivating stories are what's able to not only save their own lives, but countless of other lives that the king feels he would have the right to kill. They were able to captivate the mind of the king and not only use their purity, but their minds as a strength and not a weakness. These sisters do not survive because they're pure. They survive because they are clever. In the end, she transformed a murderous king without even shedding blood. Shakuntala was valued for her purity, while the women in 1001 Nights were killed after losing theirs. Both stories send the same message. If women are not pure, they're disposable, like flowers. The men and kings in these stories believed that it was their place and their right to put worth on women's lives. If they are obedient and pure, then they are worthy. If they are not, banished, killed. But these heroines do not fit the mold. They use their purities as strengths and not weaknesses in order to change the patriarchal decisions that are being made for them. These women reveal that women are not valued by their innocence. They do not need the saving of men. They need sisterhood and to know the power within themselves. And let's be clear, this is not just mythology. This is not just made-up stories. These women were based off of men's standards, and women today are being valued based on men's standards, whether that be purity, religion, or any other idealization that has come to surface. Purity culture exists today in dress codes, in double standards. Women are constantly shamed in public for not fitting the male gaze. In today's society, we call it slut shaming, or maybe even asking for it. Women are still controlled by men daily, all around the world. But like the women in these stories, women are taking control of their own lives and flipping the script for themselves. Women are finding more and more strength to fight the patriarchy every single day. One extremely relevant instance is the very famous Me Too movement. These women spoke out and reclaimed their stories, and now it's our turn, because women are not just the collateral damage of a men's world.